slack life is alive and well in Pittsburgh, especially highlining. The Appalachian topography of rivers and mountains evolved a city of tunnels and bridges, and now, even with our incredibly easy access to slacklines and bridge puns, we're always looking for more. More friends. More flow. More wonder. We sorta can't get enough. Yosemite is where it all begins for slackline. Camp 4 fostered the beginnings of it in the late 70s and early 80s, but it was in 1985 that Scott Balcom and Darren Carter pushed slackline forward with the establishment of the Lost Arrow Highline. Today, at an elevation of nearly 7,000 feet, the Lost Arrow stands as an icon of slackline, a beacon of creativity and adventure to anyone that sees it in the right light. We could see it all the way from Pittsburgh. So a group of us were drawn to Yosemite to make a pilgrimage to the place where slackline started. We planned to slack and climb, and even made a friend ahead of time, Xavier, who was living in the valley. We planned and planned, with messages to one another, always seeming to circle back to the Lost Arrow Spire. We boarded the plane, still in wonder at what we'd find when we got there. Our first stop, the ranger station at Camp 4. We needed a campsite. Stuck in time between dirtbag and commercialization, we slept in the line outside the ranger station overnight to assure ourselves we'd be first in line for a campsite the next day. After resting through the night, and after our tents were pitched and the bear boxes packed, we started to feel restless in anticipation of our planned activities. There's a small slack park near the search and rescue base, at the back of Camp 4. So we spent time here during the lull. A few long lines, a space net. It's cool that it's here, kept as a monument to its origins, but it's also just fun to play on. I wonder which trees held the first piece of webbing here. Before we arrived, we heard that Taft Point was the easiest highline access in the valley, so we figured it a great way to warm up. We packed into our van, and before long, we found ourselves scrambling around the clean cliff edges of Taft Point, looking for highline anchors. Rigging took some time in the unfamiliar environment, but the final product was more slackline than any of us had ever encountered before. We all agreed that until that moment, we probably shouldn't consider any of our past slacklines as highlines. This was real height. These were real highlines. We spent a couple days here, slacking and bouldering in the sun, or staring into the miles of the valley's exposure. It was easy to make friends or impress passing tourists, and those days exceeded every expectation we could have. We even met some local slackers who rigged the Taft longline, and we shared our pipe with 3 base jumpers before they launched their squirrel suits through the same notch that claimed Dean Potter. Our sense of freedom in this place is something.
Happy birthday, man!
Go Bronson!
Uncertainty is a lot like being afraid of the dark. You're in this space where you've never seen the next step, but you still have to take it. It's a feeling of being out of control, a feeling of unpredictability. It's a feeling of fear. But I've learned that there's some pretty cool things on the other side of fear. The only way there, though, is to venture into the unknown, to push yourself past the limit you know in search of the limit you've not yet met. Don't overthink it too much. Just find some other excited people that have your back and start making plans. You really won't know what's on the other side until you're there.